boggling for them. They have to come to them. There is no other way, right? So going back to I think the data capture part, because 4 lakh out of 1.4 billion or even at 8 million, it's nothing, right? Because whenever we talk about our failure in the Olympics, we always talk about a country of 1.4 billion, right? But we don't see the context of how many of those 1.4 billion are getting the facilities, are getting the, proper sports science and nutrition, technology, everything to develop them. And that too from age 6. You rightly mentioned they get everything. So today if you talk about Indian athletes after the age of 16, I think they are probably getting more care than their counterparts outside India. But that has to happen at the age of 5 or 6. So I think that is data capture and analytics and another. Coming to I think Rohan's point, development through sports is going to be very, very massive aspect of it, because not everything can be done from the aspect of profit making. And that's where I think the models and that's where I think Indian government did brilliant when they included sports in the categories where you can donate or where you can contribute through CSR. And that's why today if you see the likes of Reliance, JSW, Tata have been doing it for long. So
but just on CSR, that's only 2% of all CSR giving
but
is in
even
sport. And no, and point is like more money goes to, not a political statement at all, more money goes to cows and temples than it does to sport in this country.
But
in CSR.
Yeah, that's okay, but still like let's say 10 years back, even if you see today, like I know Reliance's numbers, around 200 CR is being spent. That was 10 years back, right? Yeah. So that's the new money which is coming.
Yeah. It's a start. It's a
start.
I mean, but yeah, okay.
And I think so. Those are primarily the ones. If I have missed anything, any of the parts in terms of the buckets. So I think that was. I have last question on. So I think
Just interject and ask more from curiosity. Does business models work in India?
About
how are you making money?
In sports?
Yes. In SportsTech rather.
I think Shubhangi is the right person.
So I think with us also we started first with streaming, content, data capturing, the whole tech enabler. Like especially in India, I think we realized that there is a point where people will pay for streaming. Like because I think in India, even though there are budgets being sanctioned, I don't think they're reaching the lower tier levels. Right, there are only few. If like in Mumbai also, I think every weekend there must be at least 500 tournaments happening every weekend, and only 10 or 15 must have that capacity to spend on streaming. So I think that is where we have now started exploring different ways. I think the second most is of course monetization. If you are capturing content data at base level, I think monetization is a no-brainer. Of course, it's a longer, battle to fight, but I think it's getting there. And then third is where you start scaling internationally, because I think internationally is somewhere where people appreciate sports at that matter that they spend at every single thing that makes their kid, be the best. So internationally, there are a lot of ways that you can partner, enable streaming, highlights. Aajkal, like there are different demands that we have started coming in that people want highlights tech now. Like they want fast 5 seconds content. I don't want to watch the whole match, and people are willing to pay for that internationally. Although I don't think I see that happening in India anytime soon. So I think that is there. Then I think participation, like people said, that there are ways that you can, just host smaller tournaments. There are a lot of turfs that you can, I think one of them mentioned that they are also trying to set up in turfs. So in there also, like when we speak to turf owners, 50% of the slots are not filled because nobody's playing sports in general. In casual gaming, I'm not even talking professionally. Casually also people have started giving up on physical activities and sports in general. So I think that is also a shift that might drive soon and probably have different sources of revenue in sports again.
Have you seen how Twitch works?
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you know this kid called Daigo Umehara? So he was 14 or 15 years old, I think it was, and he was playing Street Fighter in a small little gaming zone in Tokyo, and Akihabara. That's the district I've been there. All these kids come there. There are people who actually come and film them and put them on Twitch, because these guys who are in the gaming business, entertainment arts and all of these guys, they actually are training people at that age to be their ambassadors. Now, I'm just trying to think about this from your perspective. You've got the streaming data. He's got other data in terms of statistics, etc. What if you combine that?
I think
Wherever
that's-
there's an overlap in writing, what about a channel? Like if Instagram, some dude can sell some plant that's growing in some coconut farm. Right? And by the way, I'm mentoring a bunch of students in Narsee Monji. Some of them have already done what? Some 30 by 40 lakhs of sales in 2 months. I was quite astonished and shocked at the same time. And being their mentor, I had to say, very nice. EBITDA kitna hua? But forget EBITDA and everything aside. I mean, why can't we reimagine it like that?
I think that is exactly that if even they conducted championships, we help them in streaming. I think it will always go hand in hand. I don't think we can all do it standalone. Companies cannot. Sports is end of the day. Okay, there are individual sports, team sports, but in a way to make anything happen, it has to be a team effort. Their expertise in setting the process in associations, which I have never been able to figure out. To be honest, I tried for 1 year, I failed. Okay, but tech is something we can do. Monetization, marketing is something we can do. So I think that is where partnerships.
I think we must be amongst their top 3 clients.
I mean,
Sorry?
if you've got
Yeah,
the data,
Yeah, I think top one of the
see,
top
right
3
now in your
clients.
valuation story, you're going to use the data more than anything else, right?
So,
No.
You're not?
See, you will use data and all of that, right? But impact.
Impact.
I mean,
What?
eventually that's the impact, but the data is at the core of everything, right? I mean, just think about it. If I
I'll
was
tell you up to now,
you,
we raised our last money at a $100 million valuation, okay?
huh?
$100 million valuation, we raised our last money. We've raised close to $20 million in our journey.
So we are getting
But we
numbers
have
now.
never spoken about it. We have never done any PR about it. Probably today we are the largest valued grassroots development company in the country.
Right.
But we have not done any PR because that's not something we are proud about. That is a part of the process. It's a part of the journey to actually make that impact, right? So when you get there, then everything makes sense.
How much do you buy from Fab India?
Fab India.
Fab India, how many people buy from Fab India? How are their
everyone.
products?
Good.
What are their margins?
That I
Just
don't
take a gander.
Probably like 50% or something.
No. 3x, 4x,
Oh, really?
5x.
Yeah.
that's clothing.
Yeah.
that
Okay,
kind of-
Agreed. What I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
what is their positioning in your mind? Is it a marketing company?
Great
growth company,
product
or
at a
social
great
company?
price.
No,
Both.
it's a social company.
Correct.
I think
Backed
it's
by
a
a
social
social-
company,
Backed
but
by
no
a
social-
company backed by a social cause, but they
Yeah.
need tremendous amounts of money.
Yeah, correct.
So what I'm trying to say here is going back to what you were saying before, huge social cause, huge cause
Yeah.
for sports in the country.
Yes.
Maybe it's just about positioning it in a way which is more about, hey, this is what India is going to benefit and get an impact from. Money is just going to help us
But
get there faster.
that's exactly why what we put out there is the impact that we've created, not the money that we have raised. You know, because I don't think today grassroots sport, you can't glorify while you need all the money. That's why we have to work in the background to get all this money, right? To be able to actually do what we are doing. I think it's too soon. At least we are. I think I'm very responsible for the moral responsibility, so to speak, which is self-assumed. It's not somebody that tells you, but I don't want to go into that fantasy gaming route or that, you know, tech startup kind of thing, that because I used to have journalists ask me questions, कितना पैसा raise किया तो मैं तेरा interview लूँगा. Like,
I don't want to get that.
हाँ, that's not what you're talking to me for, right? तू बोल कितना कमाया उसका interview ले, no problem. कितना revenue बनाया, profit making करा, फिर जाके पैसा raise करा, तो कैसे किया तो मैं आंसर देने को तैयार हूँ. पर तू बोलेगा इतना वैल्यूएशन लिया, इतना पैसा रेस किया, वो बता, फिर मैं तेरा इंटरव्यू लेता हूँ. नहीं, मैंने योर स्टोरी को ना बोला है. बोला मैं तेरे को इंटरव्यू नहीं दूंगा अगर तू ये क्वेश्चन पूछने वाला है मेरे को तो. Because what will happen now, it will influence, even if it influence 20 more startup founders now, then you are galvanizing a different movement where the industry, the base is only not set. Let's set the base and let's take it from there, no? Fintech, all that I understand, e-commerce, etc. I completely understand. It is a direct function of money. But, you know, so much more money has been raised in grassroots level sport, but all of that has gone to dumps. So many companies have shut down. So you put in money where it is needed, because there any which way is less money available in this sector. So let it go into the right philosophies rather than, you know, just going into,
all over the place.
yeah.
So Just one point.
No, I'm just what I'm trying to give my
No, I
thoughts
get- I
around
get-
this.
I
Not
get you. By the way, I had my own
Yeah.
startup in the US that I
Yeah.
exited successfully. And
Yeah.
then I came into consulting.
Huh.
Okay, prior to that I was with the Tatas for 10
Correct.
years.
So on that point, is
There's-
the government policy helping?
There's two sides to every startup founder.
Yeah.
There's the story that is what you believe in, and then there's the story that you need
Yeah.
to raise money. Because let's face the truth. Once you start building an organization and it comes to a certain level, incentives, economic incentives work better than anything else.
Correct.
Unfortunately, and that is how
Absolutely.
everybody is wired.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's why maybe philanthropy has a huge angle to play more than anything else to support passion, right? But philanthropy beyond a point starts getting
Not
sunk into-
sustainable.
Not sustainable.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying, as you carve out spaces, you may want to carve out some white spaces to start experimenting with something on the side. It doesn't necessarily belong to the ethos of what you're trying to do. But it's worth a shot.
One point, I think let's go back to the question what Naveen asked. We have gone on a tangent here.
Sure.
When it is about, let's say, business models, we are focused mainly about the performance side of it, the professional side of it, the pathways. There is a very big aspect I think initially we touched upon, health and sports. That is one same thing. Like today, if I am starting at the age of, let's say, 30, something, playing something, then that will come in the casual side of it. I might continue till the age of 60, 70, 80, right? That's why the two new sports like the pickleball, it primarily started because it's great for people in their 60s or 70s to play. So I think on the performance side, all of what you guys are doing is very, very important, and that's how the performance has to be at the center. But I think coming to business model side of things, when it is about casual things where companies have built their business models, it's about the other side of human psychology, like what your Instagram has done, right? It's basically the instant gratification side of things. You have to capture that side. That's where your Crick Heroes has built their entire business model, right? Because today, even at the age of 45, let's say, I'm bowling something, taking a wicket, I really want to put that clip on my social media because that's the gratification I'm seeking. If at the age of, let's say, 60, I'm finishing Mumbai Marathon, I want to put that timing, right? So I think that aspect of it is very important, and I think that money in that casual segment, the money will come from the audience or the consumers rather than performance side. Sometimes in performance, consumer and customer are very different. So that's why I think here more of your grassroots will require philanthropy, but at some point in time, your casual side of things will become way bigger than your professional side of things. Because professional, the boom is, so last point, professional, the boom is more or less over, I will say. You will see the IPL valuations 10 years down the line, not going to change way too much because of the consolidation. The new companies, the new unicorns, if that's what some of you are looking for headlines, will come from the participation side.
Sorry, and maybe this answers your question and the point that you were making as well, and supposed to clarify what I said earlier, right? Like, I almost imagine this as a continuum, right? Where we are today is that there has been massive development. I mean, you look at the report yesterday that Group M put out on sports, right? In 71, it's quite depressing actually, because it says 71% of revenue or 71% of all spends are still in top tier cricket, right? It's 29% for the rest of you, right? Which is just terrible. But if you really look at this as a continuum, right? Continuum in that today we have all this performance, elite level stuff that's going on in cricket and some of the Olympic sports, right? But you don't really have participative sport happening. I've seen in the last 20 years that has been changing, right? So you're seeing more and more people coming in, the efforts that SFA is putting in, what Sportwatch is doing. So you'll probably see more participation sort of, happen here. And I think over a period of time, as the propensity to spend increases, as the willingness to spend increases, I think that automatically will enable new businesses to sort of, and what Anand was just talking about, right, in the participative space. As more businesses come up, but I think the question that, and then that sort of has, further downstream impact, right? But I think the question that we're asking is, or rather we're trying to solve for, which is where philanthropy can play a part, is can we short circuit that a little bit, right? It will take us naturally maybe 15 years, but can philanthropy, for example, go in and say, hey, we'll really look at rural development programs for gender inclusion, for example, right? Which is what the ABFT Abhinav Bindas Foundation is doing, and like sort of move that along. Because what that is going to do in Assam, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, where they're operating, maybe instead of the girls sort of getting to playing badminton and volleyball and I think hockey, in 8 or 10 years time, they'll do it in 2 years time, right? Because then that changes the dynamics of participative sport and therefore the sort of spending ecosystems quite dramatically, right? So I think that's really what we're sort of grappling with, I suppose, at this point in time. And then again, like philanthropy, what can tech do to sort of again accelerate that process? I don't think we've figured it out. I mean, I know that's a very disappointing outcome at the end of the conversation, but I don't think having been in the ecosystem at 20 years.
No, so one point, I think it's not everything is gloomy. If you see,
it's not. I think it's
just
moving,
very
right?
unorganized.
It's moving, and forums like this obviously
I
help.
think that's the opportunity, honestly.
Yeah.
And what we do with that data, right, is really what will create the value.
Yeah.
So, data alone will not give me the valuation. What I am being able to do with that data,
Outcome.
yes, is really what the
Yeah.
value driver is going to be for the foreseeable future. Let's just put it that way.
because on the participatory side as well, if you see companies like Huddle and Play, what they have been able to achieve, plus what now Cult Fit, if we take, let's say, health side of it within sports, because at the end of the day, your people in 30s, 40s, 50s are not going to play for, some of them still play for masters level of international tournaments, but most of it is to keep fit. I think at that level, if you see the numbers of, I think someone shared the numbers of Huddle, there are the most number of people, the most number of profiles, the players they have are in badminton. There are around 800k players, 8 lakh players, and the second best is somewhere at 1 lakh. So if you see the kind of on participatory side, the amount of money being spent in racket sports, if you go especially to the southern side of India, let's say especially Bangalore and Hyderabad, the amount of money they are spending on playing sport is tremendous. And I think that's why, because in cricket, there is great, like there is 1.1 billion annual deal of IPL, and then another 200 million for BCCI rights, and then another 700 million for ICC rights per year. But on participatory side, other than equipment, how many people are going, I'm not talking about box cricket, I'm talking about like other part of it, how many people are going, booking grounds, and so there is no income there, right? Whereas in football, badminton, tennis, golf, I think all these, again it will, I think, come hand in hand with India's economic, the booming middle class as well. And at some point in time you will see, and today you might call me a fool, but I think that participatory economy within next 10 years will be way bigger than the broadcast side of things.
I think one very beautiful business that has made an entry into India to drive this is decathlon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good
It's
point.
brilliant, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's, you got to learn a lot from that.
With high profit
To be fair,
margins.
they've done it all over Europe.
All over
also.
the Europe,
And,
exactly.
but in India, they with a high
When
profit
you can
margins.
buy a 300 rupee badminton racket, right?
Mm.
When you
Yes,
can
just
wear
made
a
it so much
700
more
rupee
affordable.
good looking shoe and run,
Yes.
you are attracting people to play sport. It's
And it's
fantastic.
always like, no matter, you will see like the economic data that
Yeah,
you see
outstanding.
in any industry.
That's
No.
what is needed, right? That's what is needed.
That's access, no?
That's access.
That's access.
That's
Talking
access,
about,
that's
Also an
what-
ecosystem partner.
yeah,
Ecosystem.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And they are also a data business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's,
Talking about data business, I mean, just wanted to situate it to international level. Like if you see, I mean, the typical concept, if you see Premier League and all was football, like in English Premier League and all, slowly we copied and made Indian Premier League, and we are highly successful in one way. I mean, people can debate it, but then it's a fact that probably Modi was traveling in England and he saw that and all that stuff. So we know a little bit of it. I have been privy to some information. So having said that, if you see Moneyball, the baseball is big in this thing, football league is big in US. you have data analytics, maybe you can also add comments. Data analytics is very big, like, they use the players in terms of the contribution and to the extent of thing. Here also, I see some analytics coming in, okay? Even in the cricket, I mean, Anil Kumble started this 10-week kind of a stuff, and where he has started some analytics kind of stuff. I wanted to throw it a bigger way in terms of, see, are we using the data, leveraging data in a big way, not only in cricket, for the IPL kind of a stuff, for the test matches, for even the badminton, because many times you see a badminton Indian coming up to the top level but then lose in the finals kind of stuff. And even if you see other sport like hockey, we were very good, but then somewhere we're not having the kind of infrastructure, not the data utilization or tech utilization kind of stuff, so we are failing. So is there anything which ecosystem like you and others can do in terms of helping India to leverage this and maximum?
I mean, a short answer is at the elite level, there's enough data analytics. There's a lot of
Yeah,
good
IPL,
data
because they have a lot of
analytics.
money, teams have a lot of money,
Yeah,
they can do
so-
that. But
so-
there are a lot of other games like hockey and then.
But that's
and
exactly what
badminton.
we're saying, right? Like
Hmm.
it has to percolate now to the grassroots.
Hmm.
And I think that's where the opportunities are: cost-effective business models, efficient business models that are low cost as well. I think that's really how do you get there. And the other part is that's only the product side, and then how do you get the supply, right? Like how do you get people to actually buy? You get people to buy through a culture of sport. Right, to getting people to realize that, hey, this is actually valuable. The same way I need a good report card, this is how I need a good report. I mean, it's a part of it is a mindset shift.
So just one point, the same company which has been providing analytics to the national team and all the IPL teams for national team last 20 years and IPL team since inception, the same company has been providing analytics to hockey Indian national team for last 10-12 years.
Which company you
The
talking
name
about?
is Sports Mechanics, Mr. Ramki. Right, so that company has been doing it for multiple sports, and it's not costly to be honest. So I think analytics is there. Only thing is, if your point is, can it come to grassroots? I think today, yes, definitely it can come. Like what you are also talking about, Spectacom, which also Anil Kumble founded. Today, IoT technology is completely outdated. Whatever used to be done by IoT today, computer vision, AI, ML can do the same thing at throwaway cost, right? So I think democratization of technology has already happened, and technology will further democratize all these aspects. Like 10 years back, the kind of analytics which was available to, let's say, SRT is in next 5 years the same kind of analytics can be available for a grassroots cricketer. So tech is going to do that democratization. So I think that's not an issue. Tech is there, and I think people are using it as well. Computer vision will, I think, help a lot of it. You are already building video resumes of athletes and things like
Yeah,
that.
I think that is already happening. So because of all the content and data capturing, we're doing real-time highlights. So as of today, there are players who are actually using those as a resume to get better opportunities. It's just, I think we'll need some time. There are a lot of players in the country. There are a lot of sports. I think it might take few years. I think 3 to 4 years, we might reach a point that they are doing such professional tournaments in the entire country, and we are the ones who are able to give access of content and data. I think few years and I think we'll be there in every sport.
Just one point, we are open for questions if some of you have not realized.
Going on.
So,
Yeah, I have a question to the panel. So how do we change the mindset of the brands towards community and grassroots sports? Right now they are more focused on